With any new idea at retail, how it's communicated to the consumer is key to a successful strategy. I'm going to add to this with some culinary tips that you can engage your consumers with at the meat counter to help ensure that they are successful. So when working with oven roast, whether it's an inside round roast like this, or maybe a premium oven roast like a rib roast or a top sirloin premium oven roast, again, it's pretty simple. Seasoning, basic seasoning, salt and pepper, onto the roasting pan with a rack to lift it off the bottom of the pan to allow air circulation, and then in an oven, hot oven to sear, and then we turn the oven down and just let it cook and finish. So I'm going to season this inside round roast we have here that Abe cut for me. So now we're going to season the roast with just, again, basic seasonings, a little coarse pepper and salt. Okay, now that our roast is seasoned, we're going to put it on the rack, and again, that rack's job is to lift the roast off the bottom of the pan and allow for air circulation so the roast cooks evenly. Okay, for the oven roast, we want to start your oven at a hot temperature. We're going to sear the roast, so we're going to set the oven for 450 degrees. Okay, now we're ready to put our oven roast in the oven to sear. We've got the oven up to 450 for a nice quick sear. About 10 minutes would put a nice sear on the outside here. And there we go. Okay, now that our oven roast is seared, I'm going to turn the oven down to 275 degrees to let it finish. Again, a lower temperature. It's going to keep a lot of the juices inside. Now that we've seared the outside, that's a great way to help consumers really end up with a premium product. One of the best hints you can give your consumers around the roasting category is ensure they have one of these. It's a really simple instant read thermometer. A lot of retailers sell them, and it really does help to nail the done point on any roast that they're cooking. So using my instant read thermometer, I try to get to the center of the roast. There we go. And we can check the doneness. Now this roast is ready. So it's ready to be removed from the oven and rested. Okay, now that we have our roast out of the oven, this oven roast needs to relax. So again, to do that, we just take it out of the oven. We're going to tint it with foil, just a piece of foil over top. Doesn't have to need to be wrapped tightly. Maybe just crink the edges in a bit and just let it rest. It's a good idea to let it rest, anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the size of the roast. What happens there? The meat relaxes, the juices in the meat work back into the meat tissue and really do provide that juicy roast that everybody wants. It's not going to get cold. There's lots of heat generated within that roast, so no problems with that. So now that our roast is rested, we're ready to serve. So I'm going to cut the strings off with a pair of kitchen shears, and we will start to carve. So the good thing about these types of roasts and the way they're merchandised is the fact that the consumer really does understand which way to cut the roast, again, across the grain, ensuring a good eating experience. So I'm going to carve this up for our dinner here. And now we're going to lay this out. Very nice doneness. And we're going to put a little bit of gravy on there. A pot roast is a great time saver. With its robust flavor, it's perfect for a fall supper. So what we have here is a bottom blade pot roast, and you really need to be able to help your consumers understand that they're looking to do a pot roast. Give them something that's going to be successful in a pot roast, something like a bottom blade. Again, I'm going to first season this, and then we're going to sear. So now we're going to brown the roast. Browning is really important with pot roast because, again, that searing on the outside, the browning on the outside is going to help to color the sauce and provide the sauce some flavor and color. So again, a nice hot pan. Okay. So let it get nice and brown on the outside. Again, once it goes in the oven, it frees up the time of the consumer so they can do just about anything they want. Rake leaves or whatever, all those fall activities. So now that our roast is brown, I'm going to add a little bit of red wine to the bottom of the pan to deglaze the pan. Essentially what that means is getting all those nice brown bits off the bottom. And I'm going to add the vegetables and the beef stock. And essentially we're ready to go for the oven. So we've set our oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, 150 degrees Celsius. And I'm going to put our pot roast in. That's a nice slow oven. It'll cook the roast evenly, and you'll end up with a perfect pot roast. Okay, so I've taken my pot roast out of the braising liquid, and now I'm going to, again, tent it with foil and let the meat relax. Again, important tip for consumers. I'm going to bring the braising liquid to a boil, and I'm going to add a mixture of cornstarch and a little bit of water, and this will help to thicken that, thicken the gravy, and then we're all set to serve our pot roast. Okay, we have our pot roast, and we're going to take the tent off, and it's ready to go. Our sauce is thickened. So again, pot roast is all about the sauce as well as the meat, but the sauce is really part of the star of the show here. I'm going to cut the strings off, and then we'll put this in the bowl. As you can see, this pot roast is quite done. And lay it in the serving dish. So we're going to put our sauce in. You can see with the sauce, I left all the vegetables in there. Lots of great flavor. So really hearty meal, very healthy, and nice sort of warm dish for the fall. As we'll be coming into the fall soon, consumers will be looking for ways to address busy meal times. Slow cooker methods with beef are a great way to address these challenges. Less tender cuts like blades and sirloin tips make excellent candidates for a slow cooker and really result in a very tasty and flavorful meal at the end. The slow cooker can be the consumer's best friend when they have a busy schedule. It's a very easy piece of equipment to use, and again, does all the cooking while you're away from home. You come home and the meal is ready. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to do this properly. First, we're going to season the roast. And again, you don't need to get really fancy with the seasonings. I'm just going to put on a little bit of black pepper and salt on the outside of the roast just to flavor it up a bit. And this seasoning will work itself into the sauce as the beef slow cooks. Okay, now we're ready to put it in the slow cooker. This is a bottom blade roast, and so when you're picking a roast for this type of cooking method, be sure to pick a pot roast or something that is labeled as either a slow cooker roast or pot roast. Those are the ones that are meant for this type of cooking. So put that in the bottom. So we're going to add a couple of sprigs of rosemary, and then our aromatic vegetables, carrots, onions, and celery will really help to build the flavor of this particular sauce. So I'd like to add a little bit of wine to my slow cooker dishes. Not very much, maybe a quarter cup would be plenty. And then I'm going to add some beef stock, or just some beef base that you've reconstituted with some water. Now the trick is here, when you're adding liquid to a pot roast, that you want to just cover the meat. The meat and vegetables will provide additional liquid, and you'll come home and your meal will be done. Now that we have everything in the slow cooker, we're going to plug it in and turn it on. And again, our recommendation for slow cookers is to use the low setting. This is really meant to slow cook the meat, bring out all the juices, and create a great deal of tenderness. So just turn it on low, and essentially you're ready to go. You can leave that, no worries, and come home after work, and your meal will be done. And again, that's why it's such a convenient option for very busy families. Okay, our slow cooker roast is ready. I've tinted it with foil while I strained the sauce into a pot on the stove, and thickened it with a little bit of cornstarch and water. So it has a nice consistency. So we're going to take that foil off. We're going to snip the strings on the roast with a pair of kitchen shears here, and we're ready to carve. We've got that. Put it on our plate. Okay, and there's our crock-pot dinner. Well, we hope you've enjoyed the information provided to you today. We thank you for joining us here at the Centre, and we hope to see you again soon.